What if one day your job is replaced by AI? Are you ready? 8 years ago, I read this book Antifragile, but back then, even though I think the concept is pretty cool, I couldn't fully grasp its true meaning. So what is antifragility? Simply put, fragile things break under pressure. Resilient things can withstand impact, but anti-fragile things actually grow stronger from shocks. Like muscle training, stress makes you stronger, not weaker. Like a forest, periodic wildfires actually help it grow more vigorously. In this rapidly changing era, the truly anti-fragile are not those who try to avoid risk, but those who thrive, adapt, and even benefit from uncertainty. But 8 years ago, I didn't really understand anti-fragile until I quit my Fortune 500 job, plunged into entrepreneurship, and experienced complete chaos, fear, and reinvention. That's when I finally realized true strength means turning everything that happens into an advantage. Today, I want to talk to you about the core ideas of anti-fragile. If you ever feared uncertainty, fear losing your sense of security, and want to regain true control, this video will give you a whole new perspective. Netflix chaos engineering. One of the most striking examples from the book Antifragile is how Netflix applies chaos engineering to optimize its system. Netflix has built an anti-fragile mechanism that allows its system to evolve through chaos and disruptions. The core philosophy behind this strategy is simple. Instead of passively waiting for disasters to strike, Netflix actively creates disasters to train its system to handle uncertainty, making it stronger and more resilient over time. Traditional software engineering follows a protective approach, rigorous testing, strict quality control, and an emphasis on preventing system failures. The goal is to keep everything running smoothly in a controlled environment, but Netflix does the exact opposite. They deliberately introduce chaos, forcing their system to adapt, recover, and become stronger in the process. Their most famous strategy is Chaos Monkey. This software runs in Netflix live production environment, randomly shutting down servers to simulate real-world failures and test whether the system can continue operating without breaking down. In other words, Chaos Monkey intentionally kicks the ass of the system while everything seems fine, challenging it to prove its resilience under pressure. Netflix dares to take this approach because they believe that true stability doesn't come from overprotection, but from continuously experiencing small failures and optimizing from them. Their goal is not to eliminate failures, but to expose weakness early and reinforce the system until it becomes nearly unbreakable. We need randomness, mess, adventures, uncertainty, self-discovery, near-traumatic episodes, all these things that make life worth living. Netflix philosophy was a revelation for me, not just as an engineering case study, but as a profound metaphor for personal growth. If we view life as a system, most of us operate like traditional companies, constantly avoiding risk, staying in safe mode, choosing the most stable job, making the safer decisions, avoiding mistakes, failures, and all forms of uncertainty. But life doesn't follow a predictable script. It will throw unexpected challenges at you when you least expect it. What if, instead of fearing uncertainty, you treated your life like Netflix treats its system? What if you actively embrace challenges, allowed yourself to fail, and learn to thrive in uncertainty? Then, when real storms hit, you wouldn't just survive. You will use their force to rise even higher. Strength is not about avoiding the storm, but learning to dance in the middle of it. Stable salary worker versus taxi driver. Who is more fragile? In the book Antifragile, the author Nassim Taleb presents a thought-provoking comparison that challenges conventional wisdom. He shows that apparent stability does not equal real security. For example, many people assume that salaried employees are far more secure than taxi drivers. During times of economic growth, having a stable job appears to be the safest bet. Paychecks arrive on time, life follows a predictable rhythm, and everything seems under control. But this stability is entirely dependent on the employer's needs, not the employee's adaptability. When a financial crisis hits or an industry declines, companies cut costs and layoffs follow. That one stable income can disappear overnight. With no alternative income streams, life suddenly plunges into deep uncertainty. People who have spent years relying on a single predictable paycheck rarely feel at risk during good times, but they are often the most vulnerable when storms hit. In contrast, Taxi drivers face extreme income fluctuations. Their earnings depend entirely on market demand, making the income seem unstable. But it's precisely this volatility that strengthens their adaptability. When the economy slows down and the passenger numbers drop, taxi drivers can shift their working hours, change their routes, or even pivot to another line of work. They're used to uncertainty and have developed the ability to navigate a constantly shifting environment. Unlike salaried employees, they are not conditioned to expect stability. They are conditioned to survive without it. True security comes from adaptability. Taleb's core argument is this: the most fragile people are those who depend on a single income source. If you only have one income stream, no matter how secure it seems, a single disruption could cause your entire life to collapse. But if you have multiple ways to generate income and are accustomed to adapting, you won't just survive uncertainty. You will use it to your advantage. True stability is not about avoiding risk, but about becoming someone who can survive and grow in any environment. Would you rather rely on a single employer or develop multiple survival skills? From fragile to anti-fragile, my transformation. I once believed that stability means security. After earning my master's degree from the University of Southern California, USC, I landed a job at a Fortune 500 company. My resume at that time was lined with prestigious names such as Fox Networks, Disney, Sony Pictures, DreamWorks, high salary, stability, and prestige. I was climbing the corporate ladder step by step, following a well-structured path where promotions were predictable, risks were minimal, and everything seemed to be on the right track. Back then, I thought this was success. I believed that as long as I stayed on this path, my life would unfold like a perfectly forecasted growth chart, steady, upward, free from surprises or risk. Then, at age of 30, which was 8 years ago, I made the decision to quit my job and started my own business. And that's when I realized the security I once relied on was nothing more than dependence on a system. The moment I stepped outside of it, that illusion of stability collapsed instantly. The first few years were nothing short of a brutal wake-up call. That was a time when income fluctuated wildly, there was no steady paycheck, and my financial situation changed daily. My business model had to be constantly adjusted because the market trends were unpredictable and control was an illusion. During entrepreneurship, every decision I made carried weight. There was no safety net, no guaranteed salary, only relentless uncertainty. I broken down many times. I doubted myself often. I even thought about giving up. But through every adjustment, every time I failed and got back up again, my mindset began to shift. I started to understand if you are addicted to stability, you will crumble when the storm comes. But if you learn to grow within chaos, every storm will make you stronger. Looking back, I realized that these past 8 years of entrepreneurship have completely reshaped me. For example, I built multiple income streams. I no longer rely on a single paycheck, and the fear of losing my job is gone. Now, every setback becomes a springboard. My life stopped being a linear climb and turned into a series of leaps. Also, I used to be the kind of person who feared failure and uncertainty a lot. Now, whenever I face an unknown challenge, my first thought is, this is going to make me even stronger. Eventually, I adopted a new core belief. I stopped fearing risk. I stopped trying to control everything. Instead, I embraced the idea that let everything that happens to be in my favor. This is not just optimism, it's life strategy. 3 key anti-fragile strategies, how to gain an edge in uncertainty. In the book Antifragile, Nassim Taleb introduced several critical strategies that help individuals not just survive but thrive in a world full of uncertainty. Number 1, the barbell strategy, balancing safety and high rewards. The barbell strategy is about placing most of your resources in extremely safe areas while allocating a small portion to high risk, high reward opportunities. This ensures that while you protect yourself from extreme losses, you still have a shot at massive upside. For example, in investing, put 90% of your money in ultra low-risk assets like government bonds or savings, while 10% is used for high-risk investments like startups, crypto, and high-growth stocks. Even if the high-risk portion fails, your core funds remain intact. But if it succeeds, the upside could be enormous. Another example is in career development. You can maintain a stable source of income from full-time job or side hustles or passive income while exploring high upside opportunities such as entrepreneurship, content creation, invest in your personal brand. If you're an entrepreneur, you can keep steady cash flow business from long-term clients or core products while allocating resources to innovation and experimentation. These smaller bets could lead to exponential growth. Success is about surviving first and then taking asymmetric bets. Never depend on a single source of income or stream strategy. Always have an asymmetric hedge. Number 2, redundancy and backup. Building extra layers of security. In nature, survival is not about efficiency, it's about resilience. Taleb emphasized that true strength doesn't come from maximizing efficiency, but from maximizing survivability. The key to this? Redundancy. Redundancy means having extra resource at a buffer against unexpected shocks. It may seem wasteful, but in reality, redundancy is the most effective way to protect against risk. For example, in terms of financial security, avoid living paycheck to paycheck. Have at least 6 to 12 months of savings to cover expenses during economic downturns, layoff, or unexpected crisis. Another example is in the supply chain management. Many businesses suffered supply chain collapses during the pandemic because they optimized for efficiency without backups. Companies with alternative suppliers, however, survived and even thrived. Another example is in health and immunity. The immune system in our body is inherently redundant. It has multiple layers of defense to ensure that even if one fails, the body can still fight infections. In terms of career and entrepreneurship, relying on one company or one client for income is risky. Having multiple income sources, such as side hustles, investment, passive revenue, ensure that if one fails, your financial stability remains intact. Nature builds redundancy because nature doesn't like risk. The safest strategy is never to rely on a single point of failure. Number 3, small-scale experimentation. Minimize risk, maximize learning. The world is unpredictable, and the best way to navigate uncertainty is not by taking huge risk, but by running small experiments. By continuously testing in small, low-risk ways, you gain valuable information while keeping failure cost minimal. Taleb argues that most people fail because they make big, risky bets from the start. Instead of investing millions into a business upfront, start with a low-cost experimentation, such as launching an online store before committing to a physical location. If it works, scale up. For content creation, instead of spending months writing a book, test your ideas by publishing short videos or articles. If they resonate with an audience, then commit to long-term commitment. For entrepreneurs, before expanding into a new market, companies often run small pilot programs to gauge demand before full-scale rollout. The best way to minimize risk is to make many small bets, not one big bet. He who does not try and error is condemned to a life of mediocrity. The key to thriving in uncertainty isn't waiting until everything is perfect. It's starting small, making adjustments, and letting the process refine you. In the later part of the book Antifragile, Nassim Taleb presents a striking metaphor. Wind extinguishes a candle and energizes a fire. A candle represents fragile individuals, those who fear storms, resist change, and crumble the moment life becomes unpredictable. A fire, on the other hand, represents anti-fragile individuals, those who don't just withstand the wind, but use it to burn even brighter. This quote perfectly summarizes the essence of antifragility. The idea that we should not fear vitality, but instead harness it to become stronger. In the age of AI, uncertainty is your greatest advantage. We're living in an era of unprecedented change. AI is reshaping industries at an astonishing speed. Stable jobs are disappearing, and once secure careers are crumbling. The things you once relied on could become obsolete overnight. Do you find yourself desperately searching for security in a world that refuses to stay the same? But here is the truth. The world will not slow down for you. It will only become more unpredictable. Your only real choice is not to wish for stability, but to become the kind of person who can thrive in the chaos. The storms of life will keep coming. The question is, are you the candle or are you the fire? Storm may be fierce, but every time we overcome them, we emerge stronger. What challenges have shaped you the most? Share your story in the comments. Let's grow through the storm together. See you in the next video, my friend.